So we have an opening reading. This is from the Soul Matters group. Reverend Tess Bomberger, The Days of Too Many Flowers. We all have those days of no flowers, just weeds. You know the kind I mean. The days when the trials and tribulations seem most present. The days when the commitments we make exceed the time we meant to give. And yet it is all such good work and there's more to be done. The days when someone is snarky and you snark right back. The days of our own mistakes that we cannot admit to ourselves. The days of criticism we take too much to heart, ignoring all previous and future praise. The days when we simply cannot summon compassion for those who push our buttons, no matter how hard we try to do so. We all know those days of no flowers in our life, when the weeds rise up and seem to choke out the beauty. Then there are days of more flowers than the vases can hold. You know those days, the days of fun and productivity, when creativity is queen and loving in thoughtful ways, days when everything flows. The days when people treat one another gently, even when someone is snarky, even if it is to you. When a thoughtful silence wraps you and them in the holy moment of connection. The days when you can take criticism with a grain of salt and praise and positive feedback with a thankful, open hand. The days when exactly the right thought, word, or action occurs to you at exactly the right moment, and you think it, or say it, or do it, and you witness something opening up inside you, or in another person, or in the garden spaces between you. These are the days of too many flowers for any vase to hold. May this be a day of too many flowers for you. And in the coming weeks and months, may such days grow in number and frequency for each of us. May we rejoice in the abundance of the blessings.
And now for a multi-generational ministry moment, we'd like to take a moment and share a short meditation on joy. It's a video.
Think about it. Sit or stand up straight. Take a deep breath and follow along. A little joy can brighten your day and fill your heart. And the good news is, there is joy in everything around you. You just need to look for it. Take a moment right now to find joy. A little lightness, a little brightness. A joyful sight, a joyful sound, a joyful person, a joyful memory. If you look, you'll find joy.
Today's service introduces us to our monthly theme of joy. And I think both Liz and I thought when we originally signed up, sure. But the way things have been going, finding joy isn't as simple as it might have been. So I'll have a reflection. There'll be some musical interlude, and then Liz will share her reflection. And I have the feeling one of the joys today might be that we have a shorter service than sometimes. Bruce is very happy. I'm going to start with a reading from, again, the Souls Matter group, the Soul Matters packet from Reverend Joe Cherry. Joy is hard. Joy is hard. Joy requires us to feel safe enough, to be safe enough, to open to vulnerability. To feel joy, you must be brave. Joy walks into a room after the space has been cleared of shame, cleared of doubt, cleared of self-recrimination. Joy is hard. Joy is hard, but joy is worth the hard work of preparation. Preparing oneself and settling down all the defenses, all the shoulds and could-haves, all the should not haves and might haves. Joy is worth the work. You are worth the work. You can start small. The simple pleasure of your favorite tea, the grand freedom of a full belly laugh. Invite joy to be your companion. In my reflection, I am finding it difficult to find joy in the last few weeks, and I predict it could be elusive over the next few years. However, the thought of joy as an act of defiance calls me to find joy. I was with a friend at lunch this week, and he kept responding to my conversation with, "Look for the joy. Look for the joy. Look for the joy." It wasn't helpful. Actually, it felt like a cheap Hallmark card. There was no recognition that sometimes there are no flowers, and you just can't pull a bouquet out of your hat. Looking for joy does not ignore all the reasons that require us to look for joy. I wasn't joyful during an executive committee meeting of the Ryan White HIV Planning Council last Tuesday. I listened as Jose from the Department of Health described the deep cuts in funding and that many staff will be laid off, with senior staff needing to choose from the jobs that will remain open. And in so doing, knowing they are kicking a person with less seniority out of their job. No, being joyful at that moment would have been disrespectful to Jose, to my other friends working at the health department, and to myself. It was a moment of grief that can still bring tears forward. Yet to remain in grief and anger, which are the feelings that the situation provoked, will only wear me down. So where is the joy? It's in a pair of ducks swimming at the bottom of our yard, just a drake and a hen, who will use the water and the surrounding rushes as home this spring. Soon there'll be ducklings, and I hope to catch a glimpse of them when they're still tiny and fuzzy, looking more like tennis balls than ducks. I've been supporting a dear niece who has chronic mental health challenges, but has been working so hard at coping. She finally has a therapist she trusts, and with his advocacy, they went to her doctor. Page 3. My apologies. She finally has a therapist that she trusts, and with her advocacy, they went to the doctor because her symptoms were beyond her typical struggles. It's not joyful to see someone you love struggling. No, there's no joy in that. But there was joy in that they found the source of her current challenges. It was dangerous levels of lactic acid, and she's being treated. She's beginning to feel better, and she's committed to continue with this therapist who helped advocate in the medical system on her behalf. I'm sharing joyful relief with my niece as she is overcoming much and that she is more optimistic than she's been in quite a while. That brings me joy. Needing to go to the Capitol and protest all that is going against my beliefs, against our beliefs, of what our nation is and what our nation should be doing is distressing, not joyful. But being among the throngs at the Capitol and hearing how many were in Anoka and throughout the state and throughout the nation, that's joyful as well as hopeful. And being able to be here with you each week brings me joy. The emotional roller coaster that I'm riding is similar to the roller coasters you are riding. Each of us will be provoked, stressed, disappointed, angry from the myriad of situations we're all facing these days. My favorite sign yesterday was, you know it's a crisis when the introverts show up. So I'm going to suggest an agreement between us that we get to show up as we are, which may be joyful or it may be grief, rage, disbelief. But when we are together here in this space, may we each take a moment to breathe, acknowledge we are here for each other, and may that bring us joy.
As Kevin mentioned, we agreed to do this talk today thinking, how hard can it be just speaking about joy? But these are difficult, uncertain, and painful times for those who believe in the value of humanity. So how do we allow joy into our lives at this moment in time? I want to share a quote that I have found inspiring by Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk. This, my dear, is the greatest challenge to being alive, to witness injustice in the world and not allow it to consume our light. After the week that just was, talking about joy feels even more challenging to me than before. But I'm wondering if, as Thich Nhat Hanh suggests, this is the time when finding ways to discover joy in our lives becomes even more important for our own well-being and important for our world. That's not to say that I'm endorsing burying our heads in the sand or some kind of toxic positivity. Nor do I think that what works for me will necessarily work for you. But I'm hoping that you will indulge me today and allow me to share 2 ways of thinking that have brought joy to my life. It was around Thanksgiving in 2022. I listened to 2 different podcasts with the same message. The practice of gratitude can change your brain for the better. One of the ways humans have evolved is to be highly attuned to noticing changes in our environment. You can see how that makes sense for recognizing danger, like hearing a twig snapping in the woods behind you. Could that be a bear? But it also means that we don't naturally pay attention to all the things in our lives that aren't changing. And that means that our brains have developed to ignore all the good things that we already possess and all the joy surrounding us every day. But practicing gratitude can work to encourage our minds to take in the positive and beautiful things in our lives. I asked my meditation group to begin a practice, and I called it 100 Days of Gratitude. We shared with each other something we were grateful for every day for 100 days. I felt lifted up by what other people were sharing on days I didn't feel so great. And I enjoyed the experience of looking back on my days to find something to be grateful for. I even started noticing good things happening throughout my days so that I'd have something to share. Then, in January of 2023, I had a minor stroke. Here's what I noticed. I was incredibly grateful for so many things that happened surrounding this event. I was grateful it was minor. I was grateful it happened at work. I was grateful my dear friend drove me to the ER. I was grateful another friend took Noah for the evening. I was grateful that I had such fantastic care and kind nurses. I was grateful for all the people who brought us meals, some in this very room here. I was grateful for a good show to binge watch. To this day, I keep up my daily gratitude practice and share it with a close friend. And to be clear, it doesn't mean that I'm ignoring all the bad things that are happening. It means that I am allowing all the feelings I have about that, and I'm finding things to be grateful for. This is the other strategy that's helped me. Leaning into the ands. Two things that we feel are opposed can be true at the same time. I can feel hopeless about what is going on with our government today, and I can be grateful for how amazing my kids are. It's okay. The gratitude I hold in my heart for what is good in my life doesn't mean I'm not taking the state of the country seriously. And being afraid for the future doesn't mean I can't be grateful for things that are happening now. These complicated feelings and experiences are all a part of my life at the same time. I choose to allow what is to be. Here's what I think is true for me. Yes, there are many awful and scary things that are happening right now in our country and around the world. And I have so much to be grateful for each day. As I was writing this, a robin was singing outside the window, and the sun was shining in. Let's find a way to let our lights shine.